Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
All right. Yeah. Uh, um, let's see. I'll do that. Okay. How's everything going over at the partnership?
Everything's good, moving forward. Event season about really starting to kick off.
Okay, good.
How are things for you? How was the sustainability application?
Oh, yes, that is being reviewed and we'll get edits or recommendations back, which means the intern isn't here any longer. So that means I'll need to do it, which is fine, So, yeah, it got out the door, but the intern was great, just wonderful. I mean, he was totally on it. So, really,
That's fantastic.
yeah, yeah. Hi, Emily.
Hi.
Hi, Emily.
Hello.
And hi, Andrea. We didn't say that before.
Hi.
So I know Christine can't make it. Did Sarah say she can't make it as well, or am I?
No, this should be Sarah right here with you.
Oh, perfect.
Yes, I'm here. I'm in my car, and then I will be home in about 8 minutes.
Okay.
But this is what you get for today.
No
Great.
problem. Thank you for signing on, joining us.
Okay, so are we ready to get started? Perfect. And did you say, Denise, there's another meeting tonight? So do we need to wrap up right at 6?
Well, yeah, I mean, not that we have to, but just in case anyone wanted to attend, it's the budget meeting tonight, the town budget. So it.
Okay, perfect. Great. So we'll call this meeting to order. I'm thinking there were no public comments. Great. If we want to take a moment to look at the minutes from April 12th. And then if there's a motion to approve.
I will make that motion, Emily.
Wonderful.
I can second.
Great. Okay, so all in favor of the minutes?
I'm counted.
Thank you. Okay, so then updating on, I think first on the list is the sponsor appeal and fundraising total.
Yep. So I am just going to give you guys hopefully not too many numbers all at once, but I am just going to give you sort of a quick update here. We have had sponsorship materials went out several weeks ago. We have had a number of replies. So we currently have raised or have committed, pardon me, just a little over 8,000. Well, the exact total is 8,300 is what we have raised and committed, which is good. I mean, that has us on our way. We definitely still have a ways to go. This week, our office has done quite a bit of sort of finishing the more formal application processes. So applications have gone out to Bank of America, Berkshire Bank, TD Bank. Unfortunately, we did already hear back from Bank of America that we were not accepted, but that was a new one this year. And then we have two other applications, one for Price Chopper and one for SBM Charitable Foundation. Now they have both either supported us with a grant or a sponsorship in the past. So we are hoping to get those again. And those are in process, should be out later this week. So we're well on our way. One thing I would just just kind of reiterate, I know we talked about this last meeting, just if anything, if you suddenly have an idea of someone who might be a good fit, or someone, or if you've talked to someone and thought, oh, you know what, let me get them a brochure, let me know and we can connect on that. We do have some printed copies of the brochure, and I can also send the actually, you know, in the last meeting, did I say I was going to send the digital brochure?
I thought you
Okay.
did.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say it's sounding familiar to me. I will, right after this meeting, send just to the teams that you all have a copy. It's a PDF just of our sponsorship brochure.
To update your
Denise,
information,
do you send that to Key Bank as well?
Yeah, so KeyBank, oh, pardon me, did I say TD Bank? My apologies. It's KeyBank. That's the application that went out. My apologies.
And Denise, is
And-
this the brochure?
Yes,
Then okay.
yes,
then
that is the
send
brochure.
it, because I was able to print it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
the other thing is Willimantic Waste Paper is now owned by a new owner. So if your fundraising appeal is still addressed to Tim DeVivo, it should now be changed to Brian Hovey.
Excellent. That was actually on my list to sort of to ask you if you had, because I knew I had the name of the new waste company, but I didn't have a contact that we could send it to.
Yeah.
Can you email me? Do you have, so besides his name, do you have their mailing address?
It's the same mailing address, and it can be
Okay.
mailed to Willimantic Waste Paper. Yeah.
Okay.
But I can email you Brian's email address.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, great. That's where we are on fundraising. Any questions?
Can you remind me, what's the kind of the typical total goal for the sponsorships?
Yeah, so this year our goal is 20,000.
Okay.
So we're not quite halfway there yet. So we definitely still have some fundraising to do, which is okay. I mean, we're in good shape. The brochure and the appeal actually had a deadline of the first week of July. So we're not close to the deadline or anything, but we are looking to finalize some of that information. Especially some of those sponsors who have been with us for a long time.
Yeah. Great. And how are we doing for booths?
So for booths, we have had 9 activity booths contact me to reserve space. Some have been great and already submitted their paperwork and everything. Some it's just been an email, but that's okay. So 9 is also a great great step forward. So in total, we have space for I believe it's 63 activity booths. So there's definitely still a lot of space, but 9 booths reserved for activity booths. We've also been contacted by technically 4, although I would say 3 craft booths. 2 of these applications are returning from last year. One is Westview Farms soaps and wood cedar dishes. And then the other, I don't know if anyone from last year remembers, we had a husband and wife team where the wife was a maker of jewelry and the husband was wood carving and wood turning. My question in regards to those sort of early craft booth applications, would you, the committee, would you guys rather see those applications sooner so you can start making sort of preliminary decisions, or wait until August when we have the full craft booth application list?
I'd prefer to wait until they're all together, because that might alter our decisions.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, no problem. So there is still lots of space for craft booths. So this is one, again, not only if you know anybody, but if you have ideas for where else we might be able to share this information, that would be really helpful. I know we haven't really done a lot of promotion of the booths beyond sort of email communication. So that's something that will happen as we move into the summer. Not surprisingly, I have not heard from any food booths. That's kind of how this event goes.
Quick question, is there also like an application or flyer you could send us for like craft vendors and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a combination. It's like an information packet with application. So I can definitely send that.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is one of the things I'm going to be doing this week for volunteers is I'm putting up a flyer at the community center, but they required a form to be filled out, and I have to get some information from you shortly for that. But I was wondering, I can add that to my request. My flyer request is for anybody interested in setting up a booth, if you wanted to.
Sure. Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
So that's all I have for booths.
You want to talk about entertainment?
Yes. So entertainment, we have sort of 3 annual children's entertainers that we reach out to every year. So our 3 kind of annual children's groups, Johnny Walker provides interactive children's activities. Pete Haddad provides a magic and illusion show, and Bruce John and the Kidsville Cuckoo Review is a music show. So I have reached out to all 3. I've heard back actually from all 3. We have, with some negotiations, we have yeses from both Kidsville Cuckoo Review and Pete Haddad. So they are confirmed for the event. This year, Mr. Walker wanted just a little time to think of it, but he said he would get back to us with a decision by the end of May. So we'll know shortly. And then entertainment wise, just the only other things kind of looking at, I know I've reached out to Emily to start thinking about student puppetry students. I thought that worked really well last year. So I think it would be wonderful to try and make that connection again. And then I have a generalized quote from the artists who provided stilt walking with Eastern Insurance Associates last year. Oh, I think we lost Sarah. Oh, I wonder if she's home. So I have the quote from that company. I just need to connect to see if Eastern Insurance was planning to book that again. I don't want us to book that if he is also already planning. So, but that's where we are with street entertainment and children's entertainment. I have not done any outreach to a cappella groups just because they've heard a lot from me this season already. So just going to do that at the start of next semester is sort of my plan for the a cappella group outreach.
Do they have
And
to,
then, oh, go ahead.
no, I'm sorry, do they have to pay?
To be an entertainer?
Yes.
No, so we book our entertainment budget is pretty much divided between there's a section of the budget that is divided toward entertainment on Betsy Patterson Square, and then there is a portion of the budget that goes toward children's entertainment and street entertainment, and all of that. Actually, part of it we did negotiate this year with Bruce John and Pete Haddad. So there were a few changes compared to our initial budget. Nothing that's out of the ordinary. I think it was all reasonable because we have been working with the same artists for so many years that it's understandable that they would want to negotiate for an increase. In regards to the a cappella groups, that's something that we reach out to specifically the Yukon student performance organizations and a handful of others. So I know we reach out to the Concenare choral community, and I can't think of any others, but for those performances, it's inviting these community choirs to perform at the event, but it's a volunteer performance, but they do not have to pay, no.
So what about like E.O. Smith? Like they have their dancers, they have their alto like chorus or choir. I know
Yeah,
go ahead.
no, so similar to the Yukon groups, I have not done any outreach to E.O. Smith. Last year, we were really in a great situation where the head of choirs, Amanda Hanslick, was actually part of this team. So she helped us make some of those connections. Now, the timing, we know kind of historically has been a little challenging because rehearsals for those high school groups, I mean, they're just getting into
Right,
the
'cause it's
start.
Yep.
So September has been challenging, but we have definitely worked with them, and we definitely will. I mean, that's not that definitely on the list for the event, just
Okay.
not something we've started the conversation yet.
Right, okay.
Although I can say one thing, unfortunately, related to E.O. Smith, going back to even before I did this in 2018 and earlier, the agriculture program had offered a petting zoo as well as a few booths. I did reach out to the ag program to see if they wanted to revive that, but they are not available. So unfortunately, that is not coming back this year, but we can try again in the future, because I do think it would be great to bring that back.
Yeah.
So that is where we are for entertainment. Any other questions or anything else that you want me to kind of expand on?
When would you, because I know at least you emailed me about the puppetry students. I wanted to I knew that they would be too early to check in with them now to see what they might have available, but when do you try to get all of these things finalized? Midsummer?
Yeah, I would definitely say by the first week in August, especially with where the event falls this year,
Yeah.
thinking about if we need to, if it's someone we haven't worked with before and we need to both collect all of their information for our finance system and coordinate with the finance department, I would say the first week in August would be kind of our entertainment cutoff.
Sounds good. So the next item was the vaccine clinic.
So besides the booths, I did also hear back from Eastern Highlands Health District. Now they were on our list because last year they offered a COVID-19 and flu vaccine, and they were just part of my booth outreach. And they were actually the first people I heard back from. They would like to once again offer a vaccine clinic with both COVID and flu vaccines for anyone 5 years and older. That was such a success that I'm sorry, I didn't check in with you guys. I just said yes. I did get back to them and say, so when we review the map, I'll talk about kind of where I put that and kind of why we had ended up there. Beyond that, before we get into ideas from the last meeting, I just want to share one thing. I'm sorry, I forgot to put it on this list. I've also been in touch with Margaret Chady, who does communications for the town of Mansfield and the Mansfield education, Mansfield schools. And she is actually, interestingly, there is a new traveling exhibit, a portrait exhibit relating to immigration. It's titled Building Bridges. And it has been coordinated first through the Storrs Congregational Church and will be on display at an event in June. And then from there, the exhibit is actually traveling to several different churches, and then they're looking for other locations. So she and I have had a preliminary conversation about having it displayed in the downtown leading up to the festival. Again, when we get to the map, I can talk about where I've put it and why, but I did just want to let you know, it's only a preliminary conversation, but I thought it was pretty exciting. It's a nice, it's an interesting exhibit to display, but also a nice thought about building community. I mean, I even thought the title Building Bridges, I'm like, oh, that's a nice connection with a community event.
That sounds great. And I'm glad to hear about the vaccine clinic. It did seem like a surprise success, maybe not a surprise success, but it was kind of surprisingly successful last time. So
No, I agree. They filled all of their slots, if I recall, well in advance of the event. And then for one of them, I can't remember which one. And then the other, they had openings, but by the end of the event had filled all of their openings.
yeah,
So
great. So we can discuss maybe some of the ideas from the last meeting, and then I'm thinking we can add another bullet point in here to get updates from Jenny as well.
yes, perfect. We're thinking along the same
Wonderful.
same line there.
I don't know how everyone else felt, but I left thinking that there were some really great ideas that came from Christine last week. And even if we don't use them for Celebrate Mansfield, I'm already trying to think of like, how could we offer some of them in the downtown? But I mean, there was a lot discussed last time, and you can see that in the minutes. So Denise, I wasn't sure if there was a specific one we wanted to start with.
Yeah, I thought we could kind of just go down. I typed, so this sort of new activity idea notes, that was just kind of how I, after our meeting, organized it for myself, and then thought it might be good to share. Thinking about what we talked about, the logistics of it, and then kind of what the follow-up is. So I don't mind kind of going through. Unfortunately, we are, so for the yoga sessions, Christine has connected with Mia Matoma. She included me on the email, and I did a follow-up to schedule a meeting, but we have not connected. Mia and I have not made that connection for the meeting. So hopefully that will happen soon.
And I will say at the last board meeting, I was going over some of these ideas, and I was sitting next to Kara Workman, who immediately was like, I teach yoga. And I was like, I know you do. Like, we'll talk. So she at least also kind of threw that out there. So she might be another person that we can connect with.
Absolutely. When this idea came up, she was the person I thought of, because she's the other person that I've spoken with about like sunrise yoga in the downtown. So the 5K, these are sort of all of my notes on it, but I do have to apologize. I have not moved at all on that one. There's still a lot of follow-up and discussion, particularly kind of starting with the board of directors related to our strategic plan, and sort of starting on whether this is something that's that we want to discuss trying to add to this event or at a separate time. In regards to the Cornhole Tournament, I have contacted Nancy from Hops 44, and actually just heard back late yesterday that she has cornhole boards that we can use, but then also would be interested in partnering with us. So I've sent an email, and hopefully we'll be able to schedule a meeting to talk that through with her. So I think that that's going to move forward. And actually, out of the ideas, I thought it was the simplest one. So I'm glad that that is moving forward in a nice, straightforward way.
What is a cornhole tournament?
So it's like, yeah, it's like beanbag toss, but it's just creating it like more like a formal sort of tournament.
Okay.
She didn't give me any details on how they had done it, but I would bet it's like bracketed kind of style where you have single elimination. And
so they're also like willing pretty much to run it. Like, is that yet? Like,
I don't know yet.
Okay.
So the phrase we've been using is partner with us. So I need to find out how much that means, whether she'll have volunteers or staff from her organization running it, or I don't know yet. Yeah, okay. Unfortunately.
But I wonder if that's something, I'm just thinking with the volunteer organizing, I'm sure you could get some college rowers to to run it for us. So that might be
My
a pretty,
volleyball team
Yeah.
all-stars, I'm
Yeah.
thinking of them right now.
Yeah.
Like those guys would be like, we're on this.
they would have it organized. They would have your brackets going. Yeah. So I think it would be good.
Yeah, they were great. So the antique car or other fancy car display, I have sent a sort of outreach through the web portal to Champagne Motors, but I have not heard back. And then as we discussed at the last meeting, the climbing wall, we're going to look at 2023, building it into the budget, and the parade is just on the back burner because it is, there were a lot of reasons why we moved away from that.
I might have another connection for you too in regards to classic cars.
Oh, great.
There's a Mansfield family that owns a pizza restaurant in Pomfret, and they do classic car nights. The brother actually works at Champagne Motor Car, so it might come full circle where you'll get that information anyway, but I can double check for that.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Even even if you just wanted to share the contact with me, or like
absolutely.
email them and bring us together that way.
Yep, I can give you their contact. They're awesome. They're, like I said, they're a Mansfield family, but I know that they host classic car nights at their pizza restaurant all the time, so they have that connection.
Okay, great. Oh, I think that's fantastic. So I know, in looking at it now, I wrote you guys a book, so I'm sorry about all of the text. Any thoughts or anything that you want to talk further through, or maybe ideas for kind of how to move forward with some of the follow-up?
Yeah, I think I love all these ideas. But even like you mentioning like, oh, does the 5K have a place elsewhere? It makes me think like, do we try to narrow it down to, like 2 that we really want to try to move forward with, because I don't want to throw too much extra work at you or at us all at one time. So, I mean, it seems
I will attest to the fact that a 5K is incredibly difficult to plan. There's a lot more that goes into it rather than just saying, hey, we're going to have a 5K. You actually need to have the roads measured. You need to be sponsored by an organization because people actually collect 5Ks and how many they do in a year. So it needs to be like a validated 5K. So you have to go through like a sponsoring agency. They're a great way to raise money, but I would do that as an individual event. And I think that there is a huge pull for the Yukon community, like as a fundraising event, if we wanted to do it in the future and fund and do one for like the spring to raise money for that following year's festival. It is a great way to raise money, but it's a lot of work.
I would also think you need medical staff, right? Medical support of some sort.
So what you do is you go through a larger race organization, and then they're the ones that provide the insurance over the whole event. So they kind of umbrella sponsor and provide all of that stuff. So you pay them a fee for them to support and promote your 5K. I mean, you could do a 5K if you know it, but then again, you're holding a lot of that liability. So that's why whenever like larger organizations are doing a 5K, they work with these like umbrella organizations. So like there's the Hartford Marathon Foundation in Connecticut. There's a couple others. Yes, Denise.
I just wanted to say, and that is something this office has been in touch with the Hartford Marathon Foundation in the past. It goes back to 2018 with a very brief connection in 2019, but we haven't been able to move forward yet. But yeah, we definitely have had that connection.
And there's other ones in town, like around the state, and they are great to work with. They're not bad organizations, but just the amount of work that goes into planning a 5K plus the amount of work that goes planning into this, I think that we should scrap the 5K from this. Another thing I was thinking is in doing our Pride planning for our Pride thing that's happening in June, we've been talking to lots of other towns, and one of the other towns does this really cool thing. Instead of having a Pride parade, they do what's called a Pup Strut, and people are allowed to walk their dogs down the street. It's very short. It's minimal participation. It's not like you're organizing all of these community people into a parade, but there's bring your dog on a leash, walk your dog. So maybe in lieu of a parade, we do a Pup Strut. And maybe we could get a local vet's office or Petco to even sponsor that. Another way to fundraise. And then who doesn't love showing off their pets?
That sounds really fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I would agree about the 5K. Even on the board, I've been thinking about how a 5K could play elsewhere. I mean, I liked the suggestion last time that we could just use one of UConn's 5K routes and like have it end at the downtown, but I think it would be better on its own independent event. So I think right now it feels like cornhole, it feels doable and possible with what we have. I would say maybe yoga could be fairly doable, or even the antique car show if the connections help us, if we have a connection where they're so used to planning these types of car shows that we can utilize, so that's not a ton of extra work for Denise and the team. So those are the three that I feel like are kind of sticking out as possibilities, but I don't know how many of these we think we want to try out for this year.
And another thought that I was having with the antique car show, when we had talked about also reaching out to Champaign and stuff, what about the field behind the post office instead of the roof? Because the roof got, although it seems a great space, it is kind of complicated when we talk through it. But we've got that parking field. Well, I don't know how much we're allowed on the fields themselves, but you've got the parking back there, and it's kind of out of the way. And then it's also contained to its own individual thing that all the cars are there versus trying to spread them out in different areas.
I was just thinking too, Andrea, if you go down Bolton Road, right behind, like across from EO behind the arts building, there's that whole South Campus parking lot.
Yeah.
And that's literally, people would just could cross at the crosswalk to that entire parking lot. And it's not a far walk.
We got to get UConn to okay that we use their lot.
That's where we get Kyle.
Well, and actually that's one of the lots we already arranged for additional parking. So if we have overflow parking, that's actually somewhere we already reach out to UConn to ask for permission.
So I was going to say, I think that's open on the weekends. So you can just happen to park all the cars there. Great. So
yeah, that's great.
Can we help move these forward at all, Denise? Do you need any assistance in any of these?
Well, I think so. My plan is I'm going to send a second email to Mia to kind of just follow up there to see if we can schedule that meeting. Nancy and I just happened this week where she followed back yesterday and I emailed her today. So that's moving forward for the Cornhole Tournament. I think for the car display, because I haven't heard back from Champaign, I do think it would be good to reach out to this other contact and just kind of move that way. No, I think we're good. I mean, I do think as we get into the next month and June and July, I definitely will have stuff that I might ask to kind of share, but at the moment, I think we're good.
Wonderful. So then, Ginny, you sent along your proposal and kind of the information. Do we want to take a look at that?
Sure. Yeah, so I did some more pricing out of things, and I've taken this to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee as well, who's been an advocate for reuse and also reuse of things that are, to the best of our knowledge, non-toxic. But that can be really tricky because industry's not forthcoming on the products they use. Stainless steel is pretty, our safe bets. So is glass, so is China. But in the case of a festival, Taylor's Rental, they only rent China. So that's out, because stuff breaks. So metal, stainless steel bowls, stainless steel plates are way unaffordable. But then I was looking at the woven wood bowls, and I don't know if you know what I mean by that. They're kind of they look like a weaving of pieces of wood, and I don't know what kind of glues they use for the woven wood. That's a big question mark in my brain. But they are more affordable. And my thought was, we recently, the town, the Solid Waste Fund, under the new revised bottle bill, towns in Connecticut are now getting 5 cents for every Nips bottle, alcoholic, the small alcoholic bottles that are sold in their town. So we recently got $14,800, something like that, for the past 6 months worth of sales in Mansfield of Nips. A lot of alcoholics out there, let me tell you.
Yeah, but Ginny, woohoo.
Yeah, I know.
Let's use that money to do good. I mean,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah, so the money's to be used for solid waste things. I mean, some of it may be used for litter pickup, but I was thinking, could we also use some of the funds to purchase wooden bowls and wooden plates for this year's festival? The one caveat is the wooden bowls are out of stock. But maybe they'll be in stock by the time the festival, by the time we're getting it together. So that would mean that we wouldn't blast out of the budget, that we would use the funds for at least partially to make up the difference at least. But I wanted to bring that to you, the piece about who's going to wash them. It could be the schools. When are they going to be washed? By whom? Those are details that need to be worked out. But if I also want to bring this to Solid Waste Advisory Committee as well, since they should have a voice in the use of the NIPS money and where we're taking this. Yes, Denise.
Yeah, I think you just kind of touched on something I had a question. So what kind of approval for using this money? Is it something that we would need to go to the town with, or is it something that you have discretion over?
I have discretion over it. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So but since SWAC is really interested in ramping up, the concept of reuse and the practice of reuse, I really want to bring this to them as well.
So Ginny, I have a quick question. And when you're saying the woven wood, I'm thinking back to the 70s of like those patchwork wood bowls and stuff. So what is the durability and life expectancy of those type of bowls?
Well, I'll tell you, I have inherited some of those wooden bowls from my aunt and uncle, and they're durable, They are.
I was just gonna say, I know my parents still have a set, and I can tell you,
my mom
they
still has
are from the 70s.
Right, but they also built things differently in the 70s. In the 70s,
True.
they built everything to last versus now.
Yeah.
True. Ginny, I just want to add that when the senior center was actually looking to purchase all of their reusable bowls and stuff, we actually went to the restaurant depot, which is located in Hartford, and we were able to purchase a lot of stuff there.
Okay.
So I just looked on their website. They do have those bowls. It does not list the cost, but that might be another option.
Okay, so go to Restaurant Depot, huh? I would much prefer to buy from a local place, and I would say
they're really great too, because then you can kind of go in and look and feel and see what you're looking at.
Yeah, they're in Hartford.
Yep. And
Okay.
if you want to, with me, schedule a field trip, I'll go with you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Ginny and I partner on everything. I love it.
So yeah, that would be great. Okay, great idea.
And then can you remind me, did we figure out where we would store these? That was something they were asking about at the board meeting when I was bringing up this idea.
Right. So right now the compostable plates and bowls and forks and spoons are stored downstairs in the town hall basement. So I'm figuring that that's where they'd be stored, you know, seal them up in a bag, put them in a box or boxes, it'll be boxes, and they're on a pallet down there.
Oh, great.
And I know one thing we talked about back when we first really started moving forward with plans for this, it won't be something we have to consider this year, but for next year, thinking about arranging to have them washed before the event.
Right. You know, if they're though in a closed bag, would that be necessary?
I actually think that might be a question for the health department, because I offhand, I don't know enough
Okay.
to say what
Yeah.
would need to happen.
Okay. Yeah.
So how do we want to move forward with this?
Well, if you want to offer an opinion one way or another for me to take to SWAC.
Right. So I think what Ginny needs us to do as a committee is to endorse the purchase of these bowls and say that we support using reusable cups and plates and bowls. And then what she'll do is say that we support that proposal, and then she would ask SWAC for the money. Am I correct, Ginny? Is that kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
they're not really the ones that will give approval. I mean, it's our, our office that would, but yeah, just to include
then-
them in on it. And then what I'd want to do before I even make the purchase is really concretely nail down how are these going to be washed?
Yeah.
Right,
Not how, but where, who's going to do it and when. Is it going to be Saturday? Is it going to be Monday?
Right. And I mean, I think at that point, Ginny, if we're looking that far ahead, we could ask if we could use a town facility to do that on a weekend, if it was me and you. The senior center has the dishwashing machine. What if you and I did go on a Saturday and wash all these dishes, and we're not infringing on any of the time that they're open, and we're getting it done in a commercial dishwasher?
Well, and that goes right back then to the point of the durability of it. How will they hold up in an industrial heat, like with hot water dishwasher?
And the one thing I would add to Sarah's comment, like if you can arrange, if they do hold up and you can arrange to use the senior center dishwasher, one thing we had talked about was potentially having that as an option for volunteers, that they could sign up to help with that cleanup. That was something we had talked about too. Because I'm just going to be blunt. I would feel really bad if it was just the two of you washing dishes. So I would probably go with you too. But I don't want it to be just this committee washing dishes. I think it would be
No, I think that's an awesome
Good for us
volunteer
to- yeah.
opportunity. I mean,
Yeah.
there are so many. Get one of those sororities or get the rowers or whatever in there. And I feel
And
like
it does go very quick. I mean,
Yeah.
I worked in wedding venues for my entire high school career. And, we would do weddings of 200 cups, plates, dishes, everything. And it goes fairly quick when you have enough people to push it through and stack them and put them away. I think that if we're looking to do something closer the day of, I do think we should approach EO Smith. Which again, I have no problem reaching out to them. I think that it's easier to walk those dishes right across the street and use their setup that's right there. And especially if they've been opening to us using their facility, if it was a rain date. So I think I don't mind following up with EO Smith just to say like, hey, what is the possibility of us doing this? Like if I meet you there and you show me how to use it, would it be okay if I went there and used it and oversaw volunteers that were there? So I will email them, and I have no problem doing that.
And if we go ahead with it, then we, I guess maybe next meeting or something, really decide on the collection of it, how we're gonna do that and try to be successful with getting as many of them back as possible.
Right, right.
Yeah, well, the collection would be at the waste stations. You know, there would be at each of the trash, recycle, compost areas, there'd be a place for people to drop off their bowls and plates.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, Ginny, maybe what we should do is kind of take a trip to Restaurant Depot and see if maybe we find something else, maybe something else that looks easier to store that may hold up a little better. I know that there is just a huge movement across the US for restaurants to be more sustainable. So you never know what we'll find there if we went and looked.
yeah. Yep.
I can tell you really want a shopping trip.
How much you love your flowers and winning, how much
Here we
Sarah
are.
loves shopping.
Yeah. Good. Okay, so are you thinking of purchasing, it looks like around 500 to start of each? Is that kind of what we're testing out? And then are we thinking certain restaurant booths would test them out for us?
Well, if you look at the bottom of that page, what has been distributed over the past 3 years, you'll see that 6-inch plates have been around 500, 400. You know, last year was on the lower side,
Yeah.
and bowls were anywhere from 900 to 450. So, and I have vendors return stock back to me. So it's not like this is all that they use. So this is just, you know, what was ordered that's I'm presenting to you. So I think 500 and 500 would be a place to start and be, you know, we would supplement them with the compostable plates and bowls, but maybe we don't need to supplement at all.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, okay. All
So
right.
I feel like it seems like everyone is interested in kind of continuing moving this proposal forward.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. I think, you know, the only way to get it done is to do it and to try it. And I think we'll work the kinks out, but I don't think we're being crazy I don't think we're over ordering. I think we're ordering a right amount to try it out with. And, you know, going forward, how neat is it to say we have this? And I mean, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. And I know we included it in the initial information and application for food booths. So hopefully, as we start to hear back from, or even, I mean, kind of on my list, not immediately, but in the next few weeks, is individual outreach to food booths that have participated in the past. So I don't mind kind of including that. Like, we'd love to have you back, and let me tell you about this year, we're doing this pilot, and we'd love for you to participate in that.
Yeah, I can't see that they'd be against it because they're not buying anything. They're not washing anything.
No,
Yeah.
I always felt that way about the composting too. In the long run, it kind of saves them money because they don't have to bring the materials to
Absolutely.
serve their food.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay.
Great. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
I look forward to hearing back about the results of the shopping trip. You know, can bring someone to test out.
Well, we'll let you know the date of the trip. You can
Okay,
swing
good.
on by.
Yeah, this place sounds fun.
It was like overwhelmingly fun.
I bet.
It was cool.
Yeah. So next on the agenda is update on volunteer outreach. Any news?
I have one.
We do have news. So yeah, Andrea and I met and we kind of came up with a plan. So one of the things that we did was we created like just a PDF type of a flyer that we were going to hang up at, like she had mentioned before, the community center, just to kind of look for volunteers. And that was also going to be dispersed to the, why can't I, the parent, why can't I think of this word?
Yeah, the PTOs.
The PTOs, there we go. Yes, go Sarah. Yes, Janice.
I was just gonna say, and that did go out to in the virtual backpack, because I know I saw it in the notices
Yes.
home this week
Take
or last
notice.
week. I was like, oh, great.
Right. I did have to submit it for approval through the superintendent, and apparently it got approved. And my understanding, and I can confirm it more, but I was told it went to all the elementary schools and the middle school. So I've gotten one email response. Somebody's interested to be a volunteer, not an area captain, but a volunteer. So I'm thinking I'm going to request that it gets sent again before the end of the school year, because not everybody goes every week to read. They're called take-home notices. So they come over via email. So I know not everybody looks at them all the time. So I'm going to request it again before the school year ends. And just getting back to putting the sign up, the flyer up at the community center, I had to fill out this form to request it, but they're requesting a state or federal nonprofit ID number, and I didn't know if we had that, if we have one, if we don't have one.
We do have one, but we actually hang notices at the community center for other events. And so they generally don't ask it from us because we have an association. So what I would say, if you're putting Mansfield Downtown Partnership down as the organization for the number, you can say, please contact us, or, but I don't think they will ask it from.
Okay,
you.
that's fine. I just didn't want to submit it without, and then they tell me, come back to me, and I just lose all this time. Okay, perfect. I'll do that.
And we also discussed and we brainstormed a few people who we think would be really great area captains that we're going to try to poach to do it. And then we kind of in the list that we created, the PDF that we created, we kind of listed what those job responsibilities would include, so that anybody who wanted to sign up would kind of know ahead of time what they're expected to do. And yeah, I think we're in really good shape. I already told my volleyball guys, only because I saw them, that they're in, of course. And then a couple other organizations at UConn have already been like, yup, email us, we're good. So yeah, I think we're good. I think we're doing as good can be as far as volunteer outreach.
It's amazing.
Excellent. Thank you both so much.
Um,
Can
No, I
go
just
ahead.
quickly want to ask, like, I was going to wait out a little bit to see what the responses are from getting it out through the school system. But what is the opinion about putting it on a personal Facebook page? Because between my two sons, I have a lot of and sports teams, through all the years, a lot of my contacts are Mansfield people, but I didn't know how we felt about social media.
No, I think that's fine. I know that we sort of have a social media plan, so I know it would be, and especially right now it's very busy, so I know it would be challenging for me to try and get that added into what our current plan is. So yeah, so I would say that's fine. The related to that, I had another question. I know we had talked a little bit about, is it something, would you like I'm trying to think. Currently, I'm just going to pull it up really quickly on the website. Yeah, we just have kind of a general learn more, like an email. Is there anything that you'd like, would you like registration to be put up onto the website as well, so that people can register straight there, or
Yeah, we can do that. And then
again,
do you have a fillable PDF for that?
I think we can create one. I mean, this is
Okay,
one.
Can we just do a Google form?
Yeah, a Google form we could do too. Yep.
And then where does it go? It goes to you, Denise?
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably comes to, we have a general email account, MDP@Mansfield CT, so it probably comes to that email address, but it'll come to me. Yeah.
And at least, I mean, I don't know, we're big on Google Docs at the Ballard Institute, but if we did a Google form, it could feed into a spreadsheet that we could all have access to, and then we'd be able to really track. I mean, I don't know if there's like an initial, hey, if you're interested, just give us your email now. And then later, do we have people fill out a form to commit? Because I'm not sure what the plan is, but I mean, before, I know we talked about maybe having people sign up for specific time periods so that we could cap it off. Like, okay, we've reached 100 for the morning shift. We don't need any more morning people. But that could be an interesting Google form as well, just to clarify when people are available. But I don't know if it's too early to start being that specific.
I have a question, thought, concern about all that, which is that, like with the way stations, for example, I'll ask people to sign up for a certain shift. And what ends up is everybody shows up at noon, and yeah,
Even though they sign up for a shift.
Yeah, then they can stay for an hour, and people that sign up don't show up, I mean, it always works out because there are people that show up that never signed up for anything, and what do you want me to do? That kind of thing.
Yeah,
It seems like our good intentions for volunteers and nailing down times,
yeah, we're going to figure that out. We're literally going to have a morning and an afternoon, and you pick one or the other.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
too, that what happened last time was that entire organizations
Yeah.
came together. So
that's what happens every year.
right.
But
so
I'm just
my
thinking
thought-
like
my thought is that the entire women's rowing team is an AM shift.
Yeah.
And the entire men's rowing team is a PM shift. And that is just how we work it. And that they are understanding that in order for them to get their hours, because we're also providing them with a certificate saying that they've worked these hours, we're helping them to do something that they need to do for school. So, I think that also reminding them of that, you're adults, you're living on your own, you're on a college campus, like you have to be responsible enough to understand that you signed up for these times. And there's ways to nicely say that and articulate that. But I do think that the important thing that was noticed last time is they all want to be together. Their group, their team, they are always together. So I think that if we're keeping to that idea and just keeping them all together, I think it will work better that way.
And clarifying with them ahead of time of like how many people are going to show up. Cause I think Denise tries to do that. And I think they're not always necessarily, like what's the exact number, but I think they should be able to get people to let them know ahead of time. So we don't get surprised by like, hundreds of sorority.
Yeah. Right. Like you can bring, you can bring your sorority, but not your sorority and your roommate.
And then,
Well,
so
and I
that-
think
go ahead.
just really quickly, I think it sounds like you guys have a really solid idea of how you'd like to sort of cut it off, which I think it's good to have multiple brains, because that's where I know the way that I communicated with things did not succeed last year. So that's where I think it's good to have different brains looking at it.
Or you were too successful, Denise, because so many people showed up. So,
Well, but all at that first time. I mean, that's where I think it definitely will help us, hopefully, to spread it out to those different shifts.
So that was actually what I wanted to ask as well. Like I said, I got one email response. I thanked her. I clarified, what she was looking to be, a volunteer or an area captain, because we did send the 2 notices. So now she provided me with the phone number and email address. I let her know that as the event gets closer, we will, be in touch. But what am I doing with as these volunteers come in and I get their name and contact info? Where am I going with that? I mean, easily I can keep a list, but is that something I then submit to you, Denise, to add to a bigger list, or what?
I would say, Andrea, me and you, we're overseeing volunteers. So we will create a list between me and you.
Okay.
The idea is to take this off of Denise. So we will put it on our shoulders.
I'm happy to do that. Easy enough. I just didn't know where the info should go.
Yeah. And we
And
can
that's
create like Emily
That's
just said, we'll
appreciate-
just create a Google Doc and we can just add
Right.
everything on there, because that can be
Perfect.
shared between the both of us, and then easy peasy. Anytime we get somebody, we just add it to that list, and then we can share it with everybody on the committee who also can add volunteers if they want. And then when we do final volunteer outreach, we'll have everybody's info there with their email addresses, with their phone numbers if we need to.
oh my God, we could get shirt sizes too. I love a good spreadsheet.
Oh, me too. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
nothing like it.
Yeah. You better add your name where it goes alphabetically. Okay, people? Like,
Denise, do we need to, I don't know if we want to reach out to the board about area captains. Do we feel like, is that something?
Well, yeah, that was going to be one of my other questions. So any luck with the list from previous area captains?
I didn't even reach out to them yet. We just kind of brainstormed. We just put
Okay.
these other things out. I know we're like months
Sure.
out. So yeah, I mean, we can do that if that's how they're used to being reached out to. But I think it said May was when you reached out to area captains anyway. I think we're good.
Okay.
No, I think we're in good shape. I know it's a question that has come to me a few times, so I did
Yeah.
just want to check in with you to just so that I have the answer and I can say where we are. It's no big deal. I think we're in good shape.
We're great.
Well, let me know if I need to, send some friendly but firm emails to the board to try to get some help with area captains or volunteers. I feel like sometimes it's probably better to start approaching them now before their fall schedule starts to fill up.
Yeah, we had kind of brainstormed and we had thought about, people that have been area captains in the past. I would be an area captain, Andrew would be an area captain, and then we figured we would get Kurt kind of back on board,
Yeah.
and then Henry from last year would do it again. And we kind of wrote and just figured we'd have enough people,
Perfect.
and enough good people, and to kind of split the AM and the PM, because again, that's kind of how we're looking at it, is that morning versus the afternoon.
That's great.
Yeah, and Sarah, I can confirm that I spoke with Kimberly. She was subbing the other day at school, and I was telling her how we joked that one phone call to her and we've got everybody covered. And she laughed, but she took down the information and she said she was going to let Henry and Charlotte both know. And she goes, she's sure they're interested. So
Right. And then exactly, they're awesome. And then I've been working with another volunteer all year that I just know would do it. So I mean, like, I think we're in good shape. There was the CITES that they had done it in the past. So we would reach out to both of them, because then that's 2 additional area captains with area captain experience. So yeah, we felt like we were in really good shape. And I actually will see them tomorrow so I can ask. So
That's great. Wonderful. Any other volunteer updates or?
Just a thank you. Just a big, big thank you.
we're working on it.
I do have a thing. So one of the things I wanted to do, and this is in part because volunteers, I've been doing this since the beginning. So it's pretty, my experience since the beginning is that volunteers show up that, they're just there. So they know nothing about what they're volunteering for. So I have a little video on how to do the trash sort. And I wanted to update that. So I didn't know if that's a volunteer outreach thing. I've talked to, or whether I should connect with Denise. I don't need to take up a lot of time in this meeting about that, but is that a Andrea Sarah thing or a Denise thing?
So yeah, so just quickly, so what exactly, so Ginny, are you looking for somebody to help you to film it and create the video?
Yes.
Or are you looking, okay.
Yeah, I thought Eco Husky, maybe some of the students there might do it, but I really want to put together something that will pertain to 2022 and just be available. So if somebody says, okay, I'm here, I'm going to stand here at this way station, I can say, look at this 3-minute video, and this is what we're asking you to do.
I wonder, is that
Yeah.
something that an organization, oh, sorry, Denise, go ahead.
That's okay. I was just gonna say, my only thought, because we did send out the previous video to people who signed up for Eco to Low Waste last year.
Yeah.
That my recommendation would be just making sure that we know we have the materials to use for the reusable product. So we can show
Yes.
exactly what it's going to be and
Yes.
have those details worked out of how they're going to be collecting it. That's the only recommendation on my end, is making sure that's set before we film something.
Oh, absolutely. So this is later on down the line, but it is something that I want to see done. Because
I'm wondering if we've already started to outreach to some of the Yukon groups that have volunteered in the past, could we get them to sign on to do some hours before the festival? You know, if they come back late August, could one of the groups or whatever be in charge of this video? If there is a group that needs hours.
I'm also just thinking there is a particular MMS teacher who makes the most amazing videos with kids. I don't even know how he does it, but it's awesome. And I think that if we were like, hey, can you make a video about this, that he would do it, knock it out of the park job. So that's another really good idea. So
okay.
they're actually doing a challenge at MMS, kind of like a be good challenge. And within 2 days, he was like, oh, I made this video for kids to like explain it. And it is amazing. It's so good. I was like, how did you do this in 2 days? And he just like found 4 kids and they did it. And they literally explained what the challenge was, how kids would earn these like be good things. It's like a 5-minute video. It's like funny, but not like to the point where it's like not serious. Like it gets the point across. And I was like, this is awesome. So I bet you if we approached him to do something for us, he could get it done by the festival.
Okay.
And really do a good job. If
Okay.
that's something you might want to consider.
Yeah.
And I can
sure.
show you the other video. I can send it all to you tomorrow so you can kind of see what I'm saying. 'Cause
Okay.
it's just so good. It was just so
That's
good.
cute.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
And I'm thinking like Ginny, you'd be able to kind of write what content needs to be in the video. So it would be kind of just handing off the information for them to create a video pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, they would look at the previous video, except
Mhm.
with tweaks if we do the reusable thing. And yes.
Great.
Yeah. It would be very prescriptive as to this is the content that needs to be in it. It's instructional, so.
Yeah, that feels like it could be a quick project. Great. So I think the last thing is to review the final site plan.
I'm going to go super fast if I can. I'm going to try and share here. So just to quickly kind of talk through this, so here is what we've talked about with the Cornhole Tournament. So I'm just kind of keeping it on this end of Wilbur Crossway. For the vaccine clinic, we put it here last year, and that has to do with the depth of the parking spaces. They can't, because their tents for the clinic are 20 feet deep, so they can't fit safely in these areas. So that's why I've returned it here. For that art project or the art traveling exhibit, the building bridges, I've put it for right now here. I have not, like I said, it's just preliminary conversations, but we're hoping to be able to work through with the Library Express because they have hosted art exhibits in the past. So it would be a great place, especially leading up to the event. That's something that could be set in place well before the day of the festival. So not something we have to think about on the day of. And then just one thing I put over here, thinking about a car display, if we were featuring just one or two, kind of just a few cars, there's a small parking area right here outside of, I can't think of the name of this building, but next to the loading zone for Barnes and Noble.
That's like
And I thought,
UCP, right?
yes, exactly. And I thought that might be an interesting place if we're just starting small with just a few vehicles, putting them there, that would be a place to display them. And it would also be an attraction to draw people back to the craft booths. So I think it's going to depend a little bit now that we've had a larger conversation on some more contacts for cars. If we end up with a larger display, then that's something that we would need to look at those other locations that we talked about earlier. If we are just looking at a few vehicles, this might be an option. And those are the only changes on here.
That's looking great. I didn't even think about that little parking lot.
Yeah, it's something we have not really used consistently. There was, well, it wasn't well used in 2019. That's kind of my experience from it. And I think it's something that we could try to utilize. We would just need to coordinate with that property owner, which is very, very doable. Any other questions about I know I stopped sharing the screen, but you guys have it. Any other questions that I can answer about the current site plan?
Looks good.
Thanks. Yeah, I actually have to say, I mean, especially compared to last year, we are shaping up very well. It's coming together very smoothly. Knock on wood.
Great. Well, is there any other things that we want to discuss before we adjourn for tonight? No? Okay, great. So is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Wonderful. Did I see a second? Great. Okay, so we will adjourn for tonight. There are a couple things that we will follow up on before our next meeting, I guess next month.
Thank
you
you,
all.
Emily.
Yeah, have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you
Good
guys so much.
night.
This was great.